Hello, welcome to Chief Inspector Training for the Village of Menomonee Falls. This training has been created for chief inspectors who are scheduled to work at the spring primary election on February 15th, 2022. I'm Janice Moyer, Village Clerk for the Village of Menomonee Falls. Today's training will be presented by myself and Deputy Village Clerk Amy Vanderhei. So again, I mentioned spring primaries, February 15th. Menomonee Falls School District voters only will be voting at this location. So you may have some voters from the Hamilton School District that come to a polling place and would like to vote. The reason they are not able to vote, obviously, is because you can only vote for candidates in your respective school district. So Menomonee Falls School District voters only. We have a couple wards that are split. At Davians, I know they actually have a Hamilton School District ward, Ward 17. So at Davians, you're not going to have a poll book for that ward. And the reason being, there's no school district school district election for the Hamilton School District this time. So anyway, we have a new polling location that's Fire Station 3. That happened with redistricting. St. James is not going to be used for this election because they serve Hamilton School District voters only. And we do have new ward maps because of our redistricting. This slide shows the new wards. And if you have questions on those, you can give us a call. The reason we do redistrict is we are required to do it every 10 years. That happens in conjunction with the census. And what redistricting does is it allows us to look at voters and where our population is increased. And it's a way to manage our polling places so that we don't have one polling place that's overrun with voters, another one that's too quiet. So it helps us with that. We also have to take into consideration county supervisory districts, and then the assembly and the Senate districts will happen after the April election because we don't have aldermanic districts in the Village of Menomonee Falls. All the board members are at large. There are no districts for the local elected officials. So everybody in the village votes for all the board candidates. This is a list of the polling places, and you can see the wards have changed a little bit. Wards 1 through 4 are at Good Shepherd, 5 through 7 are at the library, 8 and 9 at Fire Station 3, 10 through 12 at Holy Cross, 13 and 14 are at Prince of Peace, 15 through 18 now vote at Davians, 19 through 22 are at St. James, and 23 and 24 are at Gloria Day. Amy put together this address listing and color coded it for this election so that it would help the people doing registrations, and maybe if someone wanders in to your polling place and they say they want to vote and they're really in the Hamilton School District, it's easy for you to tell. If you look in the column way over on the right, the Menomonee Falls addresses are all in that light green, and then the Hamilton are in white. So easy to distinguish, and that should help hopefully a greeter, a chief, or someone who's registering to make sure we don't let someone from the Hamilton School District vote in this election. Affiliated poll worker tasks. Just as a reminder, we do have affiliated poll workers now at every polling place. So make sure when Amy sends the list out to you that you take a look at who is affiliated. Those affiliated poll workers, they must sign the ballot bags. They must help you empty the DS-200 of ballots. They don't have to do it alone, but they need to be a part of that process. And then also we do have some affiliated poll workers now at Central Count, which doesn't affect you, but those people that are affiliated, the poll workers who are affiliated, help remaking with absentee ballots if that's needed.
Next, we're going to go over the inspector statement and just review this. So where the inspector statement lists all the blank, challenged, damaged, defective, overvoted, objected to provisionals and rejected ballots, and etc. It lists the voter statistics such as number of voters, absentees, and provisional ballots. It will list all the seal numbers for the voting equipment. It lists the certification of results from the chief inspectors and the election officials who have worked at the polls. This is just a picture of the front and back of our forms. Notice we do have things highlighted for you. These are important things we don't want you to forget. So the inspector statement before the polls open. List the polling place details on the top of your inspector statement. We do fill these in for you, but please make sure you double check them. The clerk lists the voting equipment unit number and tampered evidence seals as part of the pre-election testing of the voting equipment. Please make sure that these match the seals that are on the voting equipment. The chief inspector will verify those numbers against the EL 104 before opening and initial the form. If the numbers are missing, please do not open up the DS200 and contact your village clerk. So checking the tampered evidence seal, as you can see here, we just talked about the municipal clerk provides the following. For this example, it shows the voting unit as 001, the memory seal device number as 001-101, tampered evidence seal number as 395149. If all of these match and are correct, there are places for the chief inspector to initial for the pre-election. Election day incidences. So recording on the inspector's log with the incident reports. Recording events accurately can help election officials reconcile at the end of the night and answer any questions that might come up from election day. It's better to record too much information than have nothing on there. It isn't likely that you should have a blank incident log. So anytime something happens, even like opening up the voting equipment to empty the DS200 of ballots, like all these things should be posted on the incident log. It does help us if you mark down things like if you find a voter number was given twice, mark that in your incident log. That helps us go back on reconciliation afterwards and find the problems and make sure our numbers match. Here's a picture of the incident log, and it has a few examples for you. Remember, we want to incident number them 1 through whatever you have. Incident codes. There is a slide or a page on the back side of here that actually gives you different codes you can use. And then describe the incident, record the time that it happened, and then whoever writes their note, make sure they initial and sign at the end here. This is the code reference page that I was talking about. It is on the back side of the election inspector statement. I will let you read over all of these on your own. There are more than this. But use to your best knowledge what one would fit. If not, you can always call us or leave it blank and we can help you fill it in later. After the polls close, so the chief inspector will again review that tampered evidence seal and make sure that it matches the number on the pre and post. The chief inspector will write the tampered evidence seal number contained on the ballot bags on the EL 104. Chief inspectors or designated election inspectors complete, including the total number of voters, absentee voters, and number of provisionals. All election inspectors sign and complete the certificate attached, an additional sheet if needed. Chief inspectors sign the certification that they have completed all the required training. So voting chain of custody. This is where it shows that you will be initialing the post-election check and that you're putting on the tampered seal number that is on the DS or on the ballot bag. We do have additional places for you to add more than one ballot bag. Voter statistics. So this is where you will fill in all of your numbers for the day, including total number of voters, the last voter on the poll list, your election day registration numbers, number of absentee voters, which you should not have at the polling place because they will be at central count. So again, remember your numbers start on your number grids with number 1. You'd mark on here if any provisional ballots come up and the total number of ballots cast. The number of ballots in excess of total number of voters is always a question. This is where you will add up your number of provisionals and your total number of ballots cast from the machine, and it should match your total number of voters per your poll list or the number grid. On the bottom, we mark down how many ballots we had through the DS200, which is the optical scan ballots. At the very bottom of your inspector statement is where you will sign. We have to have we would like to have our chief inspector sign and also 3 election officials. So the top is the election officials, the bottom is our chief inspectors.
Curbside voting. In your election day manual that's in the case, look at page 66 and 67 and review that document in your binder so that you're prepared if you do have a curbside voter. I know we've had one here at Village Hall so far. So just to prep for that, it's been a little while since we've been together on voting day. And so it would help if you could take a look at 66 and 67. This is some other important information. Remember that absentee ballots cannot be accepted at the polling places anymore. That's because we're doing central count. So those voters should be directed to drop their ballots off at Village Hall. When we send out our mailing for absentee ballots, we have that in the instructions, but sometimes people don't always read those. So if you can direct those people to Village Hall, and they have to be here before 8 p.m. on election day in order to be counted. So make sure you give them the information they need to get here. A list of your workers and contact information for your facility will be sent to you by email the Friday before the election. So please look for that. Any political party appointed poll workers must help, remember, with emptying the ballot bin and signing ballot bags after the polls close. We do have party affiliated people at every polling place now. So please take a look at that. If you have questions, get a hold of us. And announce at 8 p.m. that the polls are now closed and the local board of canvass will convene. Just some additional notes for this election. There's an updated emergency response plan. Kim and Amy from my office both worked very hard on this. We're trying to keep everyone safe. It looks a little different. We used a table now to show the locations of where you should be going if there's a weather event, if there's a power outage, things like that. So especially look at the final pages because those are the ones that have really been updated. A lot of the other information is the same, but take a look at it to make sure you're prepped for election day. There are new shelter in place sheets in your chief inspector binders. They're now called emergency plans, and they're specifically created for your polling place. Before we used to give you all of them. This is just for your specific polling place. So it hopefully will stick with you a little better and will be easier for you to read through. If you want a copy for your review ahead of time, let us know. Please do not share, especially the location, what we call the shelter in place location, or that's how I refer to it. If you, unfortunately, if something would happen and we would have an active assailant or some other type of situation like that, we don't want that information out there ahead of time. We want to try and keep you guys in a safe place. So something I hope we never have to use, but we just want to make sure that you're prepared. If you need to contact us, please call our general number here at Village Hall, which is listed on the slide. Maybe put it in your own cell phone. Trying to contact us directly doesn't always work. Myself, Kim, and Amy, all three of us are kind of interchangeable on election day. All three of us can be in different locations. If you call my office, a lot of times the ladies here that are my staff here can help you, and you get your answer much quicker. They know where we are also, so they can direct your call or let us know you're calling, and we can get back to you much quicker. If you call our own personal cell phones, sometimes we aren't always watching those or we're away from them. So please use that 4200 number if you do need to get a hold of us, and we will get back to you quickly. Thank you for listening to the training today. If you have questions, make sure you reach out to us before Election Day. And we're hoping we have a good election day, a quiet election day. And thank you for your help.